What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the True Gamer Podcast, the podcast hosted by two gamers for you, the true gamers. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro, the inverted gamer himself, Sheps. Bro, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I just got really self-conscious. I felt like I was a mime.
Oh.
Okay, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you for asking. We've got a lot of gaming stuff to talk about today. You know how sometimes there are like dead weeks where like, one thing happened. This week, the floodgates.
There's a lot. And I also remembered something as well.
Go ahead.
Just before we started, we made a huge mistake. Our original branding was conversations we were going to have anyway that we put on the internet. We were talking 40k.
Yeah.
I totally forgot. You've been really enjoying Baldur's Gate. I know you haven't played a huge amount of it, but you've been really enjoying it.
Yeah.
There is a 40k version of it. It's called Rogue Trader. It's really good.
Okay.
It's really good.
My ears are perked.
So if you feel like you want to play 40k, but you're not feeling like Space Marine is fantastic, but it can feel very, very grindy without progressing. Mm-hmm. Rogue Trader and the DLC, I think, has just come out. So it's good.
But if I take my time away from Space Marines, then I might not accidentally bump into Henry Cavill, who posted a picture the other day saying that he's playing and he's enjoying it.
Yeah, he's enjoying all of it as well. He's playing the PvP, he's playing everything.
Exactly.
The campaign's good. You should play it. Not sponsored.
I feel a bit stupid because I was like, he posted a picture of him on the screen about to enter a lobby, and obviously like your username is there.
You were like,
and I'm like, I knew in my head, I was like, it's not going to be there because it's Henry Cavill. Obviously, he's going to keep his privacy private. But even though I knew that, I was
I looked as well. I zoomed in. I did it.
There's the little nope, and I'm like, for fuck's sake. He might as well have written, Ed Sheps, are you this stupid?
Are you that dumb? Are you that dumb? Yes, we are, yes, Henry. We are. I know you're watching.
But we'll play together one day. Don't worry. Anyway, bro.
Yes.
Before we get into it, I'm remembering it this time.
Oh my God. Like and subscribe as well.
Like and subscribe the video. But first of all, thank you to our patrons who support us over at patreon.com/Conbrosations.
Fuck,
and thank
I forgot
you
it.
especially to our super bro, Sheps is cresting right now, who supports us at the super bro tier. Thank you guys so much for your support over there.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
That's right.
But yeah, also, if you don't support us over there, don't worry about it. Like, subscribe the video, helps us out. Leave an engaging comment.
Not an engaging comment, Alpha, for fuck's sake.
A comment that is engaging. And thank you for everyone who supports us over on the podcast feeds and stuff like that. Let's kick it into the first topic, my bro.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Which is Ghost exactly. Ghost of Yotei?
Yeah.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
That is the next installment, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima that was revealed a couple of days ago at PlayStation State of Play. And
it's going to flop. It's going to flop. Female protagonist. It's going to flop.
Female protagonist is going to flop, as they all say on Twitter. Yeah. I've seen all of the comments.
And we know this from the Assassin's Creed.
Exactly. Whenever you put a female lead,
it's her fault.
It's awful, and it's all because of the things that aren't between her legs. No, okay, so they Sucker Punch revealed Ghost of Yotei, and I'm going to read from the PlayStation blog post so that you can get an accurate description of what the game is. So it goes, today we are so happy to announce Ghost of Yotei, the latest game from Sucker Punch, and the introduction of our new hero, Atsu. We set out to make a new Ghost game. We wanted to maintain our core pillars established by Ghost of Tsushima, playing as a wandering warrior in feudal Japan, offering freedom to explore at your own pace and highlighting the beauty of the world, which... God, the game does look beautiful.
I mean, we knew it was going to look good.
Exactly. It continues, he goes, we also wanted to continue to innovate, to create something fresh but familiar. We looked beyond Jin Sakai's story and the island of Tsushima. We shifted our focus to the idea of the ghost instead. At Sucker Punch, we love origin stories, and we wanted to explore what it could mean to have a new hero wearing the ghost mask and uncovering a new legend. This led us to Ghost of Yotei, a new protagonist, a new story to unfold, and a new region of Japan to explore. While we aren't going to give specifics yet today, we can reveal that Atsu's story takes place in 1603, more than 300 years after the events of Ghost of Tsushima. The story is set in the land surrounding Mount Yotei, a towering peak in the heart of Ezo, so one of those ones. An area of Japan known as Hokkaido.
Hokkaido.
Thank you so much. Our resident Japanese expert over here.
That's right. I'm basically Japanese.
He's basically.
Have you heard my incredibly racist impression?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what makes it. In present day, in 1603, this area was outside the rule of Japan and filled with sprawling grasslands, snowy tundras, and unexpected dangers. It's a far cry from the organized samurai classes who lived in Tsushima, and it's setting for an original story we can't wait to tell.
I have theories.
Let's talk about everything right here. Do you want to go straight into your theories, or do you want to talk about
You go
what we
first,
saw
bro.
first?
You go
Well,
first.
I was going to say,
Absolutely gorgeous.
gorgeous.
Absolutely stunning.
The Ghost of Tsushima looked fantastic, and that was running on PlayStation 4. The PS5 remaster version, the director's cut we got, that looked even better. They're apparently building this one from ground up from the PlayStation 5, so it's going to use all of its might, all of its power, and I just can't wait. It looks gorgeous. At the beginning, I was a little bit hesitant when they were like, "Oh, it's not Jin Sakai's story anymore."
I don't mind it.
I had conversations on Twitter, and I wasn't like I hate it or anything like that, but I said he was at his peak as the Ghost now.
Yeah.
It's weird that we're now like, all right, now he's forgotten about, he's like left it behind and he's gone. Clearly, there was more things to be told there. Maybe it's something they'll return to. However, I'm not against the whole like we're telling the story of the Ghost and how that like transcends and goes to other people, and people just take on the mantle and continue. A bit like James Bond, essentially.
Yeah, right.
It goes on like that. I thought it was a very good idea. I'm very, very excited. Tell me what you think. The resident Ghost of Tsushima expert. Well, the number one hater because they don't do 1v1 duels.
Of course.
But
I'm about to, by the way, start my campaign. And it will be a campaign. You think you've seen Warfare in Space Marine. I'm going after all of them. All of them. Where's my 1v1 duels? Oh, do you know what would be really cool? This, but 1v1 duels.
It'll be the everyone.
Exactly. So, first things first, new animals. I think we saw a bit of a wolf in there. Whether or not that is like, I guess, a spirit guide, or you interact with wolves as we did with like the foxes and the other animals. Hokkaido is also really interesting because they have bears, and like real bears. These bears are like related to the Kodiak bears in Canada. Like these are like the biggest, baddest bears on the planet.
Nice.
So I would expect that to come in. That should be really tough. I hope it would be a missed opportunity because Hokkaido's pretty interesting as a region. Really tough place as well. Like the weather's serious there. I think if you could probably look it up in winter, like they just carve the snow out. Like there's snow drifts up like 10 feet and shit like that in certain parts. Like certain parts of it today are locked for winter.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Hokkaido
It looks gorgeous.
It's an incredible place. I'd love to go.
I can see that they're making snow carvings. They're making like buildings that look like it. Obviously, it's in a real building, but that just shows how much snow they have. They've made one that is towering the building next to it.
It's got real weather there.
Jesus.
You know. There's also another really interesting point about the date that they picked. So 1603. Just prior to that, there's a guy in history, real dude, Hattori Hanzo.
Okay.
Who is a name most people probably don't know. This guy
From
is
Overwatch, right? Hanzo.
That's right. Yes. Well, exactly. The documentary Overwatch. Hattori Hanzo is arguably the father of ninja.
Oh.
And he dies maybe 4 or 5 years prior to this.
Okay.
But she's old enough to hypothetically, let's say, be the daughter of somebody. And she has a ghost mask. Who might have got this ghost mask? Maybe the father of, unconventional warfare in mainland Japan. Hypothetically, this is my guess. I think it's it's a missed opportunity if they don't do that. So that's my guess, and I would love to get some of that in there because Hattori Hanzo is like pretty notorious in like Japanese. He's technically a samurai. Well, he is a samurai, but he doesn't. He acts very much like Jin, and we are led to believe Kazumasa, his dad. Which, by the way, if you haven't heard my rant on the DLC, we should have got a prequel of Kazuma-san, and then we could have learnt about how similar they actually were. Because, he goes through the whole of the game thinking he's disappointed his dad.
Yeah.
And then we get these little snippets of, like, Kazuma-san going off in the night and killing, them hearing screams and then people calling him a demon, So this could be a nice little tie-in. And I don't think Jin's story is necessarily completely over, because if that practice becomes famous and that's what leads Hattori Hanzo to the unconventional warfare, and if she's his daughter or potentially linked to, it doesn't have to be his daughter, that would be my guess. That's probably how I would angle it, so that you have some real history, but enough of it is unknown and enough of it is up for grabs that you can still take. Because I don't think Hattori Hanzo is in this area, but she is. She doesn't have to have been born here, right?
Yeah.
We don't know how she gets there. Right. So it'll be really interesting. And we know it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
People were saying, what if they're going to do Ghost of Tsushima 2, will it be good? And I'm like, we know it's going to be gorgeous. We know the combat's going to be incredible. And we know, hopefully, it'll be a PS5 exclusive, which means I now have a reason to turn my PlayStation on, which is what I've been asking for. This has been my big thing. Before this thing came out, I was like, I need a reason to turn my PlayStation on, or I'm not going to do it, because there's nothing new to play. Now I got something to, oh God, I'm so excited. I'm trying to stay ordered here. I'm so excited. Was there anything that caught your eye in it?
Really? I'm just so fucking excited that Ghost is back, because we've been speculating about like when it's going to come back all this time. And yeah, I'm freaking excited for that. I wish I was as much of a nerd for Japanese history as you are, so I could do all these theories. Like, I've got my thing when it comes to Norse mythology and stuff like that. I'm not even an expert on that, and I really feel like I really get into that. And I wish I had that level of like knowledge, so I can be like, oh my God, this could happen. This could be doing it right there. It's just a beautiful game. It's going to be
stunning,
fun, and it's bringing back all those memories of Ghost of Tsushima. I'm super, super excited.
There's other things as well. So like that's my sort of pitch for what I would do if I was, involved in the story writing. Something I noticed is she uses 2 swords.
Ah, yeah.
Which is really unconventional. So first things first, I think if any historical figure is going to be involved, do you know the name Musashi?
No.
So Musashi is, assuming it's true, by far the deadliest swordsman to ever have lived, ever. Okay. And there are plenty in Europe and China and anywhere that developed the sword, which is everywhere that had metalcraft.
Yeah.
You have badasses. Musashi is supposed to have won over 60 fights.
Mm-hmm. That's a fucking number.
To give you an example so let's presume that's true. It's a video game, so that's true. An expert samurai who is considered a sword master, someone you don't want to mess with, will have won 3 to 5 duels where he fought to the death somebody else and beat them. This guy does 12 times that.
Yeah.
Right? He's a badass. He also lives at around about this. I think he's alive in 1603 would be I don't remember the exact dates. He's famous for using 2 swords. He's also famous for being a few people that used really, really unconventional weaponry. One of those, which I did see in here, was a guy who used a sickle with a metal ball on a chain. I forget his name, but he was also notorious. Like, this dude killed like 12 people or something because they couldn't figure out how to fight him, but Musashi did. I saw that in there. So we have the overlap of 2 incredibly notorious, incredibly interesting Japanese real historical figures. She's old enough to be the daughter of either of them. I would think, depending on her age. Probably not old enough to be Musashi's daughter, but she's old enough to be Hanzo's daughter. She uses 2 swords. We saw the guy with the sickle and the chain. I'm just saying. I'm running theories out the wazoo. I don't even know what a wazoo is, but I've got 5 of them overflowing with ideas. So it'll be really interesting.
I think this might be the way they're going, because I don't remember specifically if they mentioned anything about the history of Ghost of Tsushima. There was a lot of like Japanese scholars that commended Ghost of Tsushima for the accuracy.
It's really close.
Especially of the world. They were like, everything looks fantastic. Everything looks beautiful.
Everything's in the right place.
Everything looks
The
great.
dates line up.
And
the characters are real.
And funnily, contrasting with real Japanese scholars praising the game, there was a lot of Western white dudes and women journalists going like, "Oh, I can't believe that the development team has white people in it." It's like, all right, shut up.
Yeah, go away.
So I would venture that maybe they are going to try and go for some real quality historic
I hope
stories.
so. There's some great history at this point.
Like the ones you're mentioning, to put into this, because it would be... They seem to really like the accuracy side of things.
I feel like these games, or at least the first one anyway, is a love letter to a lot of Japanese history, including like they have I forgot his name, the director. They have the mode that takes it black and white. What's his name? I know this as well. I've watched all of his movies.
It's on the tip of my tongue. Fucking hell.
But all of it is a love letter. It's a love letter to Japanese cinema. It's a love letter to Japanese history, to the culture, to the stylized way that the culture grew up. It's a very unique, I mean, all cultures are unique, but it's specifically picking on those points and saying, look at this stuff, you know? And
Kurosawa.
Oh, yes.
It would have
of course
killed me if I didn't find that out.
Like, I mean, the trailer even starts in Kurosawa mode, right? There's so much about this game that just feels like they're screaming out, this is cool history. There's some cool stuff here. Let's look at it. Yeah. And I do think it will do justice to it. I do think they will. The historical events were very, very close. Obviously, you have to have, like, Jin Sakai isn't, as far as we know, a real person, right? But which is good, because then they don't dishonor any real history,
right?
And there's ways to do it either way, but I think I'm really excited. There's another thing I noticed as well. Okay. There was a bit of a Western theme to it. Did you notice that?
No, go on.
It felt almost like a cowboy movie in a sense, and Japanese cinema highly influences. So have you know Seven Samurai?
Yeah.
So they did a cowboy version of that, and there's something about those two feels of movie overlap very, very well. And I got a bit of a Western style for this too. And I think that's a very interesting way to take this too. So artistically, stylistically, historically, I'm very excited. Yeah. I'm trying not to gush, and I'm kind of gushing, you know, like I'm really excited for it.
No, I feel you, man. I'm very excited. And a lot of people are very excited online as well. A lot of people choose to also to highlight the stupidity out there. I always feel like that's really a weird thing to do, to be like, unless something that's truly like we need to discuss it because it's a strange thing. But it's the same stupidity where it's like, oh, you know, it's a woman or something like that. And I'm like, why are we even giving them oxygen? Just like fucking move on like that. Like if there was a genuine thing about it, cool. But if it's just the fact that it's almost like, okay, we're not covering any ground here.
Female samurai are a thing.
Yeah.
That's not like kind of no. Female samurai are a thing, no. And so are, by the way, female ninja, like assassins. They typically, by the way, didn't do the climbing on the rooftop like you saw in the last samurai stuff. They're actually much more dangerous than that, because you'd insert one in as like a serving lady who'd be there for years and then just ice somebody, and no one would know who the fuck did it. Yeah. And she'd stay there for like another year or two and take someone else out and then leave. Like, they're hardcore. These are trained warriors. If you guys, I would recommend, if you want to, first of all, some great history, learn about Hattori Hanzo, learn about Miyamoto Musashi. But if you haven't seen, oh God, what was that? Shogun. Have you seen Shogun?
Yeah.
Like, what's her name in that? The female lead in that. I forget her name.
Names for me are the worst.
I know, especially because you really struggle with
exactly
Asian names. But she's a samurai. Like, you look at the girls in that movie, they're all hardcore. Yeah. There's you've seen it, right? Yeah. There's a point where one who has been begging to die because her son and husband have died. Someone tries to take guns that she's holding, and she's like, I'm willing to kill you because this guy who I'm working for has asked me to hold on to these things. I'll kill everyone here or die trying for these things I don't even like, because it's my job, because I've said I would do this thing. These are people who set their mind to things and do that thing. So I don't give a shit that she's female. Yeah. I don't care about any of that. And especially if we're doing a stealth thing, it doesn't matter if you're a girl. If you're stabbing someone in the back of the head, you're still dead. Yeah. Like, we're talking about assassins, and it's a video game. I don't care.
The problem is that there was, like a lot of things,
Yeah.
sometimes there's a genuine concern for something,
Right.
and then some dumb people take it so damn far that it even dilutes the real issue that was in the beginning. So like there was a time where it's like, obviously, like Disney notoriously and
Yeah.
other guys, they're like, we'll put a person of color in this, or we'll put a thing in it to a woman in it to make it appeal to this type of person. It's like, okay, but you're not doing it with any sort of passion, any sort of reason, any sort of like love for it. You're just trying to
You're just
pander
putting it in there.
and just to be annoying and whatnot. And then the worst people come along, they take it, and they're like, so everything that has a woman is a problem. It's like, no.
Well,
That's not what anyone was saying in the beginning. Why? And now they've ruined everything. So, but the same goes vice versa as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just stupid.
I gotta say, I want
beyond
to.
ridiculous.
I don't want this to be a discussion. The female lead thing is stupid.
Yeah.
You write a good character, we'll like the good character, and we've seen that all before. Like we're supposedly better than we were before, right? But there are still issues. Well, Ripley in Alien in the 80s is one of the most beloved main characters of any. It's one of the best series of movies out there, and that's from the 80s. That's 40 years ago, right? If they write a good character, it would make a lot of sense for this to be, in my version of it, Hattori Hanzo's daughter, who, by the way, is a samurai. Girls are trained to be samurais. Yeah. Also, they're not stupid. Like, even the samurai wives, these people run the home. So the high up, like the shogun's wife, she's running as much of the country as he is. Yeah. You know, just the household end of it, which means staff of hundreds of people, warriors. Mm. Like, who do you think runs the estate when you're off on campaign for 2 years?
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, so these are highly educated, well-trained warriors, scholars. And if she's been raised by Hattori Hanzo and trained with Miyamoto Musashi, this is a deadly person. This is a no fucks given. I'll weapon. End you. You know, there's 5 people. They threaten her. She gets out of the confrontation, comes back in the night, murders them all, takes her stuff back. This is somebody that will not. And I don't know anything about this character. I'm telling you, that daughter, the daughter of Hanzo who trained with Musashi, is not to be fucked with.
Yeah.
And I don't care if she's a girl. No. I don't care if they're a guy. It's how are they raised? What are the situation we're in? And also, it's a video game.
Yeah.
And this whole thing is ridiculous. I mean, Aloy is not the best written character, in my opinion, but still a fantastic lead. I don't doubt that she can do the things that she can do, because what are they doing? They're not having her be Captain Marvel facing off with giant Robo T-Rexes. She's using electricity bombs and stuff. Yeah. You and me, as like strong dudes, are not fighting a Robo T-Rex. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so it doesn't matter that she's female because they're so vastly overwhelmed anyway.
We're going out of the realms of reality or anything like that.
That's the point.
We're now fantasy and we're free roam.
That's the point. Yeah. So it's a silly discussion. I don't think it even really needs to be had at this point.
That's what I mean. It's just, and I know that it's hard as well to like leave those people be when they're saying something so stupid. When someone says something stupid, you want to be like, are you fucking dumb? And then list all the reasons why they're dumb. But they're so far dumb that those like logic doesn't play any role in anything. Yeah. So you're arguing with a wall. There's no reason to argue with them. Was there anything else you wanted to say about Ghost of Yotei before we move on?
Just that I can understand if there are people that are upset that we are not following Jin Sakai's story. I get it. But it's not like my I guess like olive branch here for like peace is that we're 300 years past it. Yeah. So it's not like we're in the same place and just not following the main character. It's many, many years later. Yeah. So at least there's that huge separation. And I get it. I would like to see more Jin, you know? In fact, when I was first watching, I was like, oh my God, is that Yuna? Right? Like, oh, what an interesting take. And I was okay with that. And then obviously you see her face, oh, it's not Yuna, it's someone totally different. And then because I saw the trailer first without any information, I was cool with it being Yuna. Like, that's another fantastic female lead, you know?
I was less on board, not less on board, it makes it sound like I actually hated it. I was upset that I was like, oh man, we're not going to see more of Jin. But I was like, okay, but whatever. But then when I read the thing about the like, oh, we're going to make it so it's like a ghost story. So like this is the ghost gets passed down and like other people pick up the mantle. I was like, this is actually really cool. I like the idea. I like it a lot.
And also, that is a huge nod to Jin. If he managed to make a legacy,
inspire, right?
That's gone at least 300 years.
Yeah.
Like what a way to, rather than potentially making a game about Jin that doesn't hit the way the first one did, to say this guy did so much in that game you played, you lay up a history that's going to go for at least 300 years. That's a great legacy. So I'm okay. Again, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm also with you though. I'd love to get more of Jin Sakai, but I just want good games.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, prior to playing it, we didn't know Jin Sakai. So we're in the same position, right? He's a character that didn't exist before. He's a character that doesn't exist now, effectively, right? But we have his legacy to play with or learn about. What if we learn one interesting thing to learn more about Jin Sakai after he's died than experiencing it in the game, you know? Which is what we do with Kazumasa, his dad, in the game. You learn about him from, if you listen to the conversations, way after he's died. And he's not the man that Jin Sakai thinks he is. Because Jin Sakai had a totally different relationship with his father, right? And all this guilt from his death and all this stuff and what he thought his father stood for. And then you hear these stories about actually when he was young, he did this during a rebellion and they called him the demon and he went out in night and
it was very cool.
It's very cool. And we don't see this character. All we actually see of Kazumasa is about 5 or 10 seconds on screen where he's murdered.
Yeah.
But we learn so much about him from conversation.
If I had to guess, I would say I think that's probably what they're going to do. Well, they're going to do to a much better degree anyway, because the whole franchise is now based around the ghost and whatnot. And he was the origin. I think they're going to do a large part where it's like, what was her name again? Atsu, I think. Is probably going to discover the ghost legacy and discover all about it. And you're going to hear stories past what we've played and things that he's done and gone on to a thing. And there's going to be whispers from towns that were liberated from him and stuff like that. And she'll probably be inspired by it all. And we're going to hear probably some really good historical stuff about it. Some stuff that's like completely unique and made up by Sucker Punch. I think it'd be really cool.
Another thing, just to round out the Jin Sakai, the next step for him would be very, very difficult to write. And I've obviously been thinking about it, but presumably he comes to mainland Japan. His uncle's after him, or people are after him. The shogun's after him.
Someone said as well, it's like, we also had 2 different endings. So how the hell do you plan that in a thing as in the sequel as well? So
exactly. So it would be very difficult to make that work versus learning about like the whispers, the little threads to pull, and you have to fill in the blanks, right? Like you don't have to address whether his uncle's after him or not, because you can just say, well, the shogun, a greater power, was after this guy, so he goes into hiding. Whatever happens, sets up a school or whatever, like, you know, school for ninja or whatever it might be. That's easier to write well. I think Jin Sakai's story is very difficult to write a good second story for. Could be done for sure, of course it could be, but we can probably do it better. We can do Jin more justice this way than another game for him, which isn't to say we don't want another game. I'd love another game, but we can. Why complain about a thing when all we've seen is a trailer? We don't know anything about it. Don't get me wrong, I've done the exact opposite thing and I've started to like gush about how good it will be or could be. I'm not saying it will be good. I know what we know for a fact, the game's going to be gorgeous. The jewels are going to be fantastic to play. And it takes place in a really interesting time in history and a really interesting part of the world. That's what we know for a fact. Will the game be good? Don't know.
How do we know?
But it'll be pretty and it'll be fun to play. Which is really, those are the big selling points of the first one. So if it's just that, I'm still going to enjoy it.
Same.
If it's got a great story, it's going to jump up my list. Do you know what I mean? So why would we complain? We don't know anything about it. She's a woman. Shut up. Go away.
That's the dumb
It's not Jin. Shut up. Go away. You didn't know Jin before. So anyway, I think it's going to be good. Personally, my guess will be...
Very excited. 2025 is the release date. We're not on the exact month or anything like that, but 2025
which is still pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty damn close. if I had to venture a guess, I'd say in the later half of 2025.
Probably November around there.
But I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I'm excited and
I'm
can't
also
wait.
I'm excited to have a reason for my PlayStation.
Yeah.
For PlayStation 5, because at the minute, everything that's coming out, I can play it on my PC.
You haven't played Astro Bot yet, although that's
haven't.
not like the. It's very, very good, very, very fun.
Yeah.
I love it, but I can see it not having the mass, the appeal to the more mature gamers like yourself, let's say, who wants like a. Okay. When I say mature, I mean like old and
Yes,
grey and stuff.
old
like
and
that.
grey. That's right.
But who wants like a serious story, like
Yeah.
a God of War, like a Ghost of Tsushima, etc.
I mean, it's like what we were saying with Xbox, is they need titles that are going to make people go out and buy an Xbox. I wouldn't buy a PlayStation for Astrobot, but I would buy one for Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yotei. You know, that providing it's good enough, let's say it is a genuine successor, yeah, I think that is a console pusher. If I was looking for a PlayStation, I finally have the money, and there's a Ghost of Yotei branded box, I would probably buy one, you know?
Yeah.
So we need some console pushers. Xbox, we need some console pushers.
Man, it's been really quiet from Xbox, you know. They've just been doing like layoffs and stuff like that, and that's about it. Anyway.
Yes.
Let's move on to the rest of the state of play, good sir. I'm only going to mention a few things in here that I found were interesting. You can go and have a look at the full write-up on the PlayStation blog if you want to go see everything that was there. But the few things that were interesting to me, Horizon Zero Dawn is getting a PlayStation 5 remaster.
Yep.
They revealed it. It looks great. It's being used. They're using the Forbidden West engine and character models.
Yeah.
They've done apparently 10 hours worth of extra mocap that they've done into
cool.
the game as well, so they can make it look so much better. It's going to be coming out November, and it is a £10 upgrade or $10 upgrade if you have Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep.
So that's decent, I feel like. So you don't have to buy the whole game again, which a lot of people thought you're just going to have to buy the whole game, but hey. Some people were like, why are we getting a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster? And again, not a Bloodborne remaster, but Bloodborne's never coming. I'm telling you that
Yeah,
now.
maybe don't hold your breath on that one.
I was very excited. I was hoping for it. By now, they would have done it if they were going to do it.
Probably,
It's not going to be
yeah.
a thing anymore.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. I think the comparison side by side shot style look like night and day. The character model looks more human now
Yeah.
anyway, like it does.
I
in
saw
the
people
Forbidden
complaining about it. They're like, why does the PS4 version look better? She looks so much more feminine. Like, shut up. She's a human
such a
being. Like, first of all, it's not true.
Yeah,
It's
such a
just,
lie.
it isn't true. What I suspect is that actually it's just their preference for video games looking a bit less realistic. For anybody that genuinely thinks it looks better, I think it's more of their preference for how a video game would look. But like visually, it is obviously an improvement.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping for though is not the huge jump to the Last of Us 1 remake, where you know how different that is to play versus the original. But maybe like something close to that, where they do upgrade animations, you get some extra stuff, not just a skinned effectively game. And if they're doing the mocap as well, 10 hours of mocap,
It feels like they're putting a lot of effort into it. We won't know until we see the
Yeah.
actual product in the end, but it feels like they're putting a lot of effort into it. We'll have to see. I'll be getting it for the £10. I haven't played the
£10, it's
exactly.
free basically.
I haven't played the DLC as well, and apparently that's also getting remastered within the same package. So I'm very excited for that. They said they're adding more levels to the Astrobot that just came out recently, and they're adding it for free. So that's a cool thing to.
That's very cool.
Going back actually to Horizon, the Lego Horizon game.
Yeah.
that they talked about. They unveiled it and they showed it. It looks cute. It looks like Lego.
It's Lego.
I think it's going to do perfectly well.
Have they ever made a bad Lego game?
I don't think so. I mean, especially because like the Lego demographic. Sorry about this, car. They're more skewed towards younger kids, right?
Yeah.
You can have adults and whatnot, and there are plenty of adults out there
Yeah.
who collect the big stuff and whatnot. Lego games, a lot of them are younger children, and they just want something that looks cool, looks fun, and has good good sounds and stuff like that. That's all they're looking for, and I think this is going to hit that perfectly.
Even for guys like us, like the Lego games, what they do is they take great games and they make them not more fun, but more fun.
Wholesome fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you kill somebody, they explode into, it's more wholesome fun. And it's silly and quirky. And it takes everything that's cool about Lego and matches it with whatever you're playing, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Horizon, you know. I think it's going to be really fun to take out some mass, or like, I want to see a long neck in Lego. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's going to be fun. So it's going to be fun. I feel like Lego's one that it's not really possible to make a bad one if you care at all about what you're converting into it.
A similar thing is happening with Astrobot, because while it's not Lego, it's little figurines and whatnot, and they do similar things where there are levels for, like, say, Uncharted, God of War, Horizon, even stuff like that. And they do bots in the theme of those things, which is exactly what's happening with Lego here. And they do all the cute things. Like, you'll see one of the, what they call the Watchers, the little ones, the ones that like little raptors and whatnot. And instead of them being like super scary or like an angry thing or whatever, they do like a cute little dance, or you knock them and their helmet falls off and they go run pick it up. And
right.
And exactly what you're looking for in those types of games. And it's beautiful.
Let's be honest, if depending on your tolerance to stress, a lot of these games are quite stressful.
Oh yeah,
definitely. And even a game like Horizon, which isn't like stressful, if you just want to relax, it may not be the game for you. You're under attack by robot dinosaurs. You know, the world is ending. Like, it's stressful. You turn it into Lego. It's just fun. Yeah. It's just fun.
Yeah, facts.
So I'll be interested.
I'll be interested as well. Alan Wake Lake House DLC was revealed as well.
In Lego?
Not in Lego, unfortunately.
I might actually play it if they made it in Lego. See, that's exactly what I was talking about. I don't have the tolerance for those sorts of games. I don't even Control. There are a few moments in Control that made me want to put it down because there's a room full of mannequins. Yeah. That made me want to put it down. I didn't do that. I left. I tried it for about 3 seconds and then I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. That's exactly my level of stress. I was out. I had to go.
All the trauma of the time you got locked in that shopping mall.
The mannequin factory. Yeah, I can't. Mannequins creep me out. But if they were Lego, it would probably still be creepy, but at least it would be a bit more like funsy, you know. I don't have the tolerance for the Alan Wake games.
I actually want to play Alan Wake, not just because Alpha is our good friend and he won't shut up about it.
At all. I'm actually waiting for an essay about why I need to play it now.
The other day when we went to the Batman Unmasked show, we went with Alpha and we're like, oh, did you see the Robert Pattinson suit over there? And he's like, Alan Wake? And I was like, no, shut up. And then he saw a flashlight. I was like, they use a flashlight in Alan Wake.
He did that, yeah.
Oh my God. And then we go over to the Batmobile. It's like a car.
Alan Wake has a driving license.
Fucking hell. Just can't help it. But I do want to play it because it does look right up my alley, actually.
I will also say
psycho thriller type of thing, which it's supposed to be.
It is.
But I think it's that level just for me. And
also,
to get into it.
Not to glaze, but Alpha does have good taste.
He fucking does. As much as we don't want him to give him any props.
Yeah. If you recommend something, it's probably worth watching or playing. It's just specifically Alan Wake for me. It's just not for me, you know?
One day I'm going to play it and I'm going to go to him and he's going to be like, oh, the best day of my life.
But the problem is he'll info
my heroes played my game.
He'll info. The problem is, because Alpha loves those games so much, he's basically a scholar for those games. So he'll be like, did you catch this? Did you see that? And I'm like, I didn't know that was a tie-in. No, I didn't see it. I think when I played Control, he spoke to me about like the overlaps with Alan Wake. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know the game, so I didn't catch it. But it was cool to see him pick out those nods and stuff. There is an Alan Wake DLC to Control, which I haven't played either, that I probably might play because I have a full level, Jesse, who can go in all super powered and I'll feel a bit more like a superhero going up against some sort of creepy thing. But as a dude with a flashlight, I need superpowers, man. If I'm going to do this, I need superpowers,
That looked awesome. Legacy of Kain.
Yes.
Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remaster is happening and releasing this December. I thought of you immediately when I saw this. I was like, Sheps is going to be so excited.
I was really excited about that.
First Ghost and now this.
I know. So it's funny as well you mentioned that because the trilogy was on Steam and I picked all 3 games up for like £6 or something. I haven't played them yet, and the one of the reasons I don't quite want to play them is because I have this monster rig and they're games from like PlayStation 1. but a remaster after like 20 years? Are you kidding? The story writing in that is fantastic, by the way. It's so good. I really hope it comes out as not just like a bit upgraded, but like effectively a brand new game, which it probably has to be at this point.
I hope so.
But keep the old audio, keep the story. Oh God. Yeah, for the record, I didn't care about anything else. I only cared about Ghost of Yotei. And then when I saw that, and I'm like, I'm done. I've got stuff to play. I now have a reason to turn on my PlayStation, like I was saying. So I'm hyped.
Good. They also showed off Power World's coming to PS5 finally. It hasn't been on PS5 this whole time.
If it survives the lawsuit.
I was just going to say, I wonder if it will come out before or after the lawsuit that takes them down from Nintendo. Because we thought this lawsuit was going to happen
immediately,
long ago,
day one,
right? But oddly, it's just been like, okay, they I guess they've managed to slip through the cracks.
Yeah, should we?
And then randomly, Nintendo are like, no, actually, we're taking you down.
Well, of course, first of all, of course they are.
Yeah.
There's a kind of interesting thing about this lawsuit. So we spoke about it briefly.
Yeah.
And I think we're sort of like it's somewhere in the middle. I'm on a bit more on one side, you're on a bit more of another. And for the record, I'm quite ignorant about all the details. What I think is happening is they're suing over the use of the Powerball, which is like effectively a Pokeball.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is their patent on the Pokeball, I believe, is from like August of this year, which is, I believe, which is after Power World released.
Yeah.
So can they retroactively?
This is our not disagreement, but our different stances on it. Where like, if you have in my opinion, if you have such a legendary, well, if you have an idea anyway, and it starts 10 years ago and whatnot, that's your idea.
Yeah.
And if you've got proof that you had that idea from that long ago, which Nintendo does from all the games they've released on Game Boy and TV show and all
back
that
in the
stuff
90s,
like that, then that's yours.
That's
it doesn't matter if like, 'cause judges will constantly, they'll be like, this was clearly their idea, whatever. It's just very rare that you'll ever find a situation where someone has stolen an idea for something so iconic and they're suing them to be like, no, they can't use it. Oh, but do you have a patent or a copyright for this? No, we don't. Why the fuck haven't you? Because most companies would have done that by now. So
that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because as soon as we saw the Powerball, like, that's Pokeball.
Yeah.
But Nintendo has had it for so long. Why didn't they patent it?
Yeah.
And it, assuming the date's correct, where it is this August after Power World released, that means that they went and got the patent so that they could sue.
Yeah.
So that weirdly, in my mind, makes it that it wasn't an issue. So they had to make it an issue for it to be an issue, which I'm not supporting Nintendo or supporting the guys that made Power World. It's just a very interesting way to do things.
Yeah.
And I also give it to you, like, that is their thing. Totally. But then, like, Monster Battlers, those have been out since well before Pokemon.
True.
So
True.
It will be interesting because you could say, like you say, a judge will go, well, that's obviously a Pokeball, right? Any reasonable person would say that. But Pokemon's just a monster battler with one new idea, effectively, right? And a brand new story. So how much leeway does an idea need for it to be unique? Do you see what, like, it'll be really interesting. Weirdly as well, I don't want Power World to, like, quote unquote get away with it. What I want this to be is like a real definition for how much does an idea need to be concreted for it to be trademarkable, basically. It'd be really interesting, and I don't want either side to get done over. As weird as it says,
they
like,
shouldn't be broken up or like made bankrupt or owe tons of money.
Right.
If they have to be shut down, I guess that's the way it is. You know, you took an idea from someone. I guess that's that. But don't kill them over it. Fucking hell, like.
Well, equally, if it goes in Power World's favor, I don't want, as weird as it sounds, one of the most litigious multi-billion companies to get done over either, because it is their idea.
Yeah, they don't deserve to suffer ramifications from it.
So I hope this goes.
We sound like corporate bootlickers now, don't we?
I hope this goes more in the vein of like a discussion that needs to be had in a legal realm, where they go, this is our idea very clearly. And then the question is, okay, well, how much of a difference on that idea do you need to have? Because if you can't sample from other stuff, you get nothing new ever, right? All new music is almost all of it is using samples. And even if it isn't using samples, it's inspired by the music that came before it. Same with video games, same with movies. Right? Like if lens flare gets, do you know what I mean?
Copyrighted.
Slow-mo, like, oh, that's Matrix, you can't do it. And, you know, you're going to use bullet time. Does that mean that the Wachowskis can, is it Wachowskis?
Yeah.
They can just sue anyone that uses bullet time?
Sue everyone.
So
if they say bullet and time in the same sentence, done.
yeah, if they use slow-mo and any more than like 3 degrees of pan, that's it, lawsuit.
We wrote our script on paper. You can't do that anymore. You know, when does it end?
So I hope this becomes more of an interesting discussion than a you know, savage legal fight.
Yeah.
It will probably go the savage legal fight because it's, you know, Nintendo. But
how much of a fight can Power put up there? That's
and for the record, and not just to abuse the YouTube algorithm, but if you guys have any opinions on this, I would like to hear it because I don't actually know where I stand on it. I think my position is they probably should have trademarked it before. And yeah, I think it's that. I think it's that.
I'm still on the other side, still thinking about it because it's not like Power World didn't know what they were doing when
of course they knew what they were doing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So it's like if I came along, if I found out, if I just Google searched and I was like, oh, PlayStation haven't copyrighted the PlayStation logo.
Right.
For whatever reason. And then I went and started bringing out merchandise or consoles with the PlayStation logo. I'm not going to be shocked Pikachu face when they come and sue me. I'm like,
Right.
What?
How could you're suing me for using your logo?
How dare you?
Right.
But I made it PlayStations at the end.
There's an S.
It's completely
There's another
different.
S.
This is new. You know?
So also one of the things I think is really interesting about this, because you and I usually line up really closely, and the fact that we're not super opposed
This
on
isn't
it.
diametrically opposed. This is just like, oh, I can see both sides, but there is a bit more I feel.
Right. So, and usually we're like, oh, we can see both sides, but we both tend to lean one way or the other generally. I think it's going to be really interesting because anybody reasonable is going to line up one way or the other.
Yeah.
And hopefully we have a reasonable discussion about actually what does it consist of. Yeah. So for that reason, I'm actually really interested to see what happens. And I hope it works out well weirdly for both of them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The other question is, just to wrap this up, what if they say, okay, the Pokeball actually, that's totally Nintendo's, and if Power say, okay, well, we're going to go back and we're just going to make it like a tube with a cork that when you catch them, you suck it into the tube. Is that okay? And they go, yes. Then Power doesn't have to be negatively hurt. They just have to go away and within X period of time make an update. I would probably expect it goes that way, actually, where they go, yeah, the Pokeball is Nintendo's, even though they didn't trademark it or patent it before, after you did this thing, but you can't use it. And then hopefully it's just a relatively easy update and it's done, So we'll see. It's really interesting.
It is. The final thing that they showed off at the State of Play that was mildly interesting was a couple of new colors added to the PlayStation 5 plates and controllers called the Chroma Collection. Yep. They made a pearl white chroma version of the thing that looks quite nice in the light. Indigo and a teal version. They look quite nice.
I'm going to say white on controller is...
It's potential for issues, but the DualSense has held up quite well.
It has.
So it has. Piggybacking on the looks of the new versions of console colors, something else happened in between our last episode. A new console, a new PlayStation 5 Pro console variant was announced and released and has now gone out of stock in the time that we've had our last discussion. So the PlayStation 5 Pro 30th anniversary edition was shown off, and I sent you a link as well to the so you can have a look at it while we do it. You saw it before, you know all about it. But this console is one of the most beautiful consoles we've ever seen.
It's gorgeous,
For the longest time, we've wanted PlayStation 1 themed stuff because that grey is just so nostalgic. It looks so beautiful and it just triggers that endorphins in our minds.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful. And then we saw Jim Ryan got a PlayStation 5 PS1 themed PlayStation 5
Yeah.
as a gift to him for his like years of service and whatnot,
Yeah.
just before he left and whatnot. And we got a picture of it, and it looked amazing, and it had this like beautiful USB-C cable connector that was styled in the way of a PlayStation 1 thick connector.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, just make this so we can buy it. And they heard our cries. However, they made it insane. They applied it to an insanely expensive console and a more affordable console as well, but we'll get to that. Anyway, they announced the PlayStation 5 Pro, which was already £700, $700,
Yeah.
800 euros, and they made a 30th anniversary bundle,
Yeah.
which comes with, and I got a list out right here. It comes with a PlayStation 5 Pro console in that beautiful gray. It comes with a disc drive plate, not the disc drive itself, so you can switch out if you buy the disc drive or whatever. It comes with a DualSense controller, which is 60 quid in itself,
Yeah.
and a DualSense Edge controller, which is £200 in itself. It comes with a DualSense charging station themed in the PlayStation 1 colors as well, which is already $30 as well, but then there's a limited edition. It comes with a vertical stand, which is also an add-on as well, which is $30 as well. It comes with an original style PlayStation controller charging cable, like I said, for Jim Ryan's thing with the extra thing, which looks fucking great.
It looks fantastic. Yeah.
And it comes with cable ties in PlayStation themes. It comes with stickers. It comes with a limited edition poster, and it comes with, weirdly, a paperclip. A paperclip that's just been bent into the PlayStation logo.
Cool. $200. Yeah.
All of that
For the nice, reasonable price of.
low price of £959.
I will say, given what you get, it's actually not like, it's again, not a cash grab, but very much not cheap.
Exactly.
But luckily they made them in a good amount of numbers. There's a lot of these things, right? They'll be easy to get hold of.
There are
Twos of these things.
They made 12,300 of these bundles
Globally.
The idea was
They
that
made
it was
one of these things.
It was the 30th of the 30th anniversary, and the date was it the 3rd or the 30th of 3rd of December? Sorry, so 12/3 in American format. That's the reason why they made that many. This bundle sold out in seconds.
Yeah.
I was there day one. I knew I wasn't going to be able to afford one. I was like, just by adding up the stuff, I'm like, this is going to be like £1,000. I'm never going to be able to afford it. But I want to see if I can get in the line and be at the door and virtually hold it in my hands.
Yeah.
I got there immediately. It was sold out. Didn't even get a chance. In fact, I got the notification online that it's already been sold out when I had like 45 minutes left in my queue, and I was like, "Well, this has gone badly." I don't know of anybody who did get one. I couldn't. None of my friends, none of the popular YouTubers that I follow.
There's only 12,500 of them. For context, in just PlayStation 5s, there's been 57 million PlayStation 5s sold, right? Yeah. I don't know what the fraction is.
12,000 is nothing.
It's nothing. It's like 0.0005% or something like that.
The PlayStation 4 Pro that I bought, the 500 million milestone of PlayStation's console that I bought, they made 50,000 of those ones. And that was so fucking hard to get. And there were multiple issues. There was like, they had to delete everyone's pre-orders and start again because there was problems. And I was like, oh, it's so difficult. Barely got one of those. Yeah. This was 12,000.
I mean,
a quarter of what we got. I was like, this is crazy. Anyway, no one I know has got it. However, they are on sale on eBay if you want to for the low price of £6,000.
Damn.
Fucking scalpers, man.
Do you know what's funny as well?
Fucking cunts.
The whole thing you were talking about, like, what you get in the bundle. Do you know the thing that caught my eye?
Go on.
The only thing that made me go, I would spend money on this. It sounds so stupid. It sounds so dumb. I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. The coloured logo and the coloured buttons on the DualSense. Yeah. That's what I want.
Well, good news for you. because they are selling the controller separately. They are, as well as this Pro bundle, they are selling the PlayStation 5 in a limited quantity as well. Not like a numbered quantity and whatnot like
limited.
that. But it's like a limited edition. If you want to go buy it, you can. The PlayStation Slim model, they are selling the controllers separately as well. I believe the Edge might be sold out, but I don't
care about the Edge personally.
They might also bring those back because, again, they're not numbered.
Yeah.
With the popularity, they might go, all right, we'll bring in some more back.
Ultimately, this is just a different color skin and different color buttons, which presumably they have those left over from the DualShock.
From the previous ones, right? I mean, I made a version of it. Unfortunately, I did snap one of the ribbons inside it, and I was like, oh, fucking hell. But
it's just a display piece then.
Exactly. But the PlayStation logo button is like a sticker I put on it, whereas this one's actually colored. I did go and buy the controller.
What are they running?
Edition. Sorry?
Well, how much do they cost?
£69.
I'll definitely get one.
It's not bad for what it is, and I was like, the nostalgia is just so much. It's
the nostalgia. This is the thing. Should you spend $70 on a controller? Probably not. However, it's a DualSense.
Yes.
Currently the best controller ever made.
Yeah.
I don't really like the haptic for actually gaming, like especially for shooters and stuff like that. But I did leave in Space Marine. I left the haptic for when you walk.
Yeah.
Because even if in the middle of it's so good, I have had to leave it on. So, and because it's the PlayStation 1 and it's that PlayStation grey and it's got the colors, I will probably get it. Also, my DualSense is not knackered by any stretch, but a new one would be nice. And that one would be really nice.
Really nice.
If you're in the market if you need to get a new DualSense because you threw one at a wall or something, this is probably the one I would pick up.
Can I ask you to have a look at something as well, and you guys at home? If you do go to the PlayStation blog post, that's the best place to see it. But Google search, it's in that page that I've sent you. So you can just scroll down.
Yeah.
But if you at home Google search the PlayStation Portal 30th Anniversary Edition, right down at the bottom.
Let's have a look. Down at the bottom, PlayStation Portal. Oh yeah.
Tell me that doesn't look gorgeous as well.
Do you know one of the things I noticed in the State of Play? There was the PlayStation sound when it booted up. There was that. Yeah. That's one of the things I miss most about my PS1. You know, when you would turn it on, it would go, show the logo and fling, that noise. I miss that.
Could you imagine if they've programmed that into the console? God, if that's a secret they've done. Listen, they didn't care about the blue light. Okay, I don't think they care about
two consoles.
For two consoles. So I don't think they care about this one, but yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is that, do you know what? I really want to buy even the PlayStation Slim Anniversary Edition, even though it's not like special numbered and whatnot, just because of how good it looks.
It does look good.
The problem is that I think eventually I will get a PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to buy a PlayStation 5 Pro. I'm going to buy this. And then I've got a PlayStation that will do this function anyway.
I know.
And I'm like, it's just so wasteful. So I'm not going to buy it. Maybe I'll get some plates for this one that look like this, something like that to make it good or whatever.
If they would just sell the plates, here's my thing. If they would just sell the plates and this DualSense, they'd print money. That's all they have to do.
Orders at all.
That's all they have to do. So the likelihood of a PS1 grey with the coloured logo and the DualSense actually being like a regular thing you can buy, I would expect is relatively high. Put it this way, we were saying they should be doing this since the PS5 came out, and they're doing it. So they know there's the desire for that PS1 grey.
Hells yeah.
So I also think they're going to see the numbers for how many of these things they sell versus like the standard ones and go, yeah, we need to just do this one, you know?
Thing is, PlayStation do stupid stuff
all the time.
All the time. And I could see them just going, no.
No, it's limited.
And under the guise of like, well, yeah, but then it doesn't make it special then. And I'm like, we want it and we want to give you money. Why are you doing
Take
this
my
to
money. Yeah, no, it does look good. And I can already hear people saying, but the price tag, like, I get it. I do get it. But it's a gaming console. Gaming consoles are a luxury. Yeah. It is a luxury. Yeah. So
anyway, that looks gorgeous.
It looks fantastic.
It was gorgeous. No one else can ever have one again, except if you want to. Please don't buy it from these scalpers. Please let them rot. It was so disheartening because it was disheartening seeing so many on eBay.
Yeah.
I was like, we're gonna see some, but there was such a limited quantity that seems to be like all the scalpers got them.
Yeah.
So fucking annoying.
Yeah. But again, I'm of the opinion that let them rot.
Yeah,
Just don't have it. There were 12,500 anyway. You're probably not going to get one. Don't give $6,000 to a scalper. Let them rot. Let them just stick there with their $1,000 purchase and suffer.
I also want to know who came up with the price, because they were all around about the same price.
Yeah.
I was like, did you guys all speak and get into a meeting? Like, okay, we're going to screw everyone over. How much should we do it for?
Maybe it's just one guy that picked it up and is putting them on different accounts and stuff.
Possibly.
Just some guy with some ridiculous like scalper bot or something,
So immense.
Fuckers.
Okay, next topic.
Yeah.
Concord.
Yes.
So I didn't know we'd ever have to speak about Concord ever again, because it came and went like a fart in the wind.
Yeah.
Very British saying, if you will.
Yeah, more like a final tornado, but yeah.
But more information has come out.
Okay.
Just so everyone knows, this information isn't mine. It's from Colin Moriarty from his podcast, PlayStation podcast.
Pretty reliable.
Sacred Symbols.
Yeah.
Exactly. He doesn't normally do like breaking news or anything like that, but somebody came to him with this information, which he claims he verified, and he is an ex-journalist, and he is someone who I particularly trust. He's got no reason to be like slaying it for no reason. So I trust this source.
Put it this way, just to say, I don't trust journalists, but Colin Moriarty is one of those guys that's been more right than wrong, and knows that his cachet in the world is actually fact checking stuff. He's not writing just clickbait crap. So he does have an incentive He does have an incentive to at least check. There's a difference between lying and being wrong. If he's wrong, that's one thing. We can all tolerate something being wrong, right? This is what we've heard and it wasn't correct. Fine. Yeah. You did your best to check it. Everything you checked came up clean, but it was just the wrong information. Versus it's a complete lie and you just did it for clicks. Yeah. And I think he's very well aware that if he just does that, he's not gonna rake it in.
Yeah. And there's also a couple of things. Well, one, he's also running the most successful PlayStation podcast out there in terms of numbers viewed, in terms of Patreon numbers and stuff like that. So he's got no reason to put out lies for no reason. It's not going to get him anywhere because he's already at the top.
Right.
And also he doesn't have the anonymity that like people who write for say IGN or Kotaku and whatnot, where they do have their name on it, no one gives a fuck about the person. They can just write absolute nonsense and tomorrow it's a different day.
Well, it's an opinion piece. Shut up.
Exactly. Anyway, Concord.
Yeah.
Concord allegedly cost $400 million to make. And that doesn't include the price of buying the studio in the first place. So PlayStation lost a ton of money on this.
I'm going to put that firmly in the L category.
Yeah, it sitted quite well. You couldn't take it out if you wanted to, mate. You couldn't take it out if you wanted to. Not only is that PlayStation's biggest loss, that makes it PlayStation's most expensive game ever made. I mean, even in the Insomniac leak recently that we got, Spider-Man 2 was something like 220 million or something like that. And Spider-Man 3 is rumored, well, in the leak it told us, so it's as good as true. It's going to cost around 350 million to make, which is already far too
massive,
absurd.
Yeah.
This was 400 million. And the way that apparently that came out is that they sunk $200 million into creating this game before it even went into production, like the development side of it, so like all the ideas and stuff like that. And it hadn't even, before it even got to the alpha stage, basically, it was like 200 million deep. And the way that Colin Moriarty describes it is that there's something in the gaming industry, in a lot of industries actually, called MVP status, most viable. There was a word for the P.
Product?
There's like a point where this becomes a viable product where we can sell this now. And it hadn't reached that point. And in order to get it over that line, to get it to that point, they said that they need to essentially invest that much more money again. Yeah. So $400 million. And that included like outsourcing it to other studios and getting their input on stuff and doing the most important part, the most costly part, which is the character creations and how they're going to work together and things like that. Apparently that bit hadn't been done when they initially put the first $200 million into it. Okay. In a hero shooter type thing, you think the heroes might have been set at that point. Apparently not. apparently internally in PlayStation and the studio, this project was being talked about as the future of PlayStation. The reason for that was because it was being talked about as PlayStation's Star Wars type project, where it had multiple different avenues it could go down in terms of like comics, toys, going to TV shows, movies. It could spread out. That's why it's in that secret level TV show that's coming up in Amazon, because they had like this kind of thought.
That'll be a really interesting episode.
It's going to be so interesting. It's going to be the episode that I'm looking forward to. After God of War, I'm like, all right, now show me the Concord episode. Show me the Concord episode. That's how it was being talked about inside, and I guess that's why it was being pushed so much. And I can see why businessmen in suits would have a massive raging hard on.
Yeah, of course.
They're like, it's a live service game and it can do all this other stuff.
Right.
Sign me up. But no one bothered to look to whether or not it was actually any of those things. But the biggest issue apparently, and this is according to the source, and according to Colin Moriarty, this is their words themselves, this game was the victim of workplace toxic positivity, where no one could say anything bad about this thing, because if you say anything bad, you're the bad person. A bit like similar to how like you get like in social circles now, where like you can't say anything bad about this person or this type of group of people. Even if they do something bad, that kind of thing, where this game, whenever there was something bad, you could not say anything bad about it. Because you were seen as the bad guy. So everyone was just a yes man. Everyone was just saying yes, 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 until it got to the point, even after they showed off the trailer, and everyone was like, there is nothing enjoyable in this. This doesn't look good at all. What are you guys doing? They still went, yes, yes, yes.
I'm on the other side of that.
Came out. Go on.
I think from what I've seen of it, the gameplay and the trailer, I think it looks okay. It's not, I don't think it warrants 400 million. I think there's something there. I think what they needed was some of that creative negativity of saying, this doesn't feel good. Okay, why doesn't it feel
Creative
good?
Creative
criticism, that's probably a better way to say it. Like, this doesn't feel fun to play. Why do these other games feel fun to play? Let's implement that. And I also think, ironically, that they shouldn't wrap the studio or anything like that. They should actually keep working on this.
Apparently that's what they're doing, but go ahead.
Because I think it does have legs. I think what they need to do is not go back to the drawing board, but go back and say, we have a working game that obviously isn't fun to play. Why isn't it fun to play? What makes the games we're going up against more fun to play? What are the differences in terms of like movement, mechanics, right? For example, a game like Overwatch, which it sort of looks like it was intended to go up against Overwatch meets Valorant meets CS. Those games have quite a lot of story, but it's not very easy to access. Similar like Apex Legends, there's a lot of story going on, but you have to like watch all these extra videos and stuff like that. That's not really in the game. So maybe you say, well, maybe we should put a story mode in or something like that. I think they have the majority of a good game in there. It just needs someone to come in and go like, this isn't needed. That's really good. These things don't make sense. We need new characters. These characters were not liked for these reasons. We need to accept that and make some new ones or whatever it might be. And maybe it doesn't come out as Concord relaunched. Maybe it comes out as their next version of the game that's basically built on top of the corpse of Concord. But I can see how people would look at it and go, well, it's going to do really well. But the problem is, a game isn't about how it looks. A game is about how it feels. Like we were just talking about Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yotei. They look good, but they look good more because they feel good to be in, not just that they're pretty, right? Like, if they take that and make something else out of it, I don't think it's a huge loss. But they also need to look at the internals. Just like we've always been saying, the problem with Xbox is not Xbox. They have the talent, right? There is a decision-making issue somewhere. That's why Starfield wasn't what it should have been. There are decision-making problems. Apparently that's much better now, by the way. Starfield, apparently.
I was going to say, I'd never heard someone use the term toxic positivity before. It's actually a really good description of a lot of things that we know like today. Most importantly, though, I think seemed, from what I get from my feeling, I bet it fits so well in Microsoft.
I totally agree.
I think there's a lot of yes, you're great, do whatever you want. This is fantastic, but not enough of what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
This is go back to the drawing board, think about this again, or it's done.
Yeah.
Because it can be done.
Yeah.
And then that's how we got Redfall. That's how we got Starfield in its launch state like that.
Yeah.
That's how we got Halo Infinite. A lot of this just like, yes, you're doing great. Yes,
not enough
yes.
people actually playing the product and being fans of gaming and that style of game. Like, I'm not the person to play test versions of Elden Ring. I don't enjoy those games. I'm not going to be able to give you a good feedback. I'm not a fan of it, right? So don't have someone like me building stuff in a vacuum. Do you know what I mean? But if they get some people that love shooters and that play Overwatch in their spare time, and they go, as an example, let's say they're targeting Overwatch, what does feel better about Overwatch? Why doesn't this feel good? Is it map design? Is it the way the characters move? What is it, right? And then let's make up a couple of versions and see how they play. And the exact opposite example is Nazi Zombies from not Black Ops, World at War. Do you guys know this story? Chat, do you know the story? do you know about Nazi Zombies? So Nazi Zombies was
sorry, how it originated.
Yeah. Nazi Zombies was just a pet project by one of the developers who started making it. It just made like that first level for fun. And the guys in Treyarch found themselves like playing it during their lunch breaks and stuff, constantly jumping off and going to do that in their lunch breaks, to the point where basically the whole office was playing it, and they went, this is really good. Let's just stick it in. Let's just, like, actually make this and put it in there. And it's one of the most successful things ever. Why? Because it was fun to play from the beginning. It was made as a passion project, and they included it. You need to take that mentality and have people actually, the guys building it, playing it, going, this doesn't feel right. I need to change something. What needs to change, right? The objective needs to be making it fun to play and like addictive. Like, you need to feel rewarded for moving or doing whatever it is, and then it'll be good. Because obviously they've done an investment. The problem isn't money, you know. It is that toxic positivity of, well, it'll be good, it's great, it's got all these other things. Well, let's not worry about the TV shows. Let's worry about making this game great, you know? Let's worry about it getting out into the marketplace and really getting a foothold. And then we can leverage these incredible characters that we've made. Yeah. But you have to have incredible characters. The game has to be fun to play. It has to catch you, you know?
Have you heard of the conspiracy theory with the Borderlands movie?
No.
So it's a conspiracy theory, obviously, but the Borderlands movie came out and apparently nobody likes it.
No.
That's the thing I've heard. I haven't watched it myself. Nobody likes it, apparently.
Universally hated.
Yeah. And I saw a video of a guy who was pretending to be like the CEO of Gearbox, and the secretary that comes up goes like, the movie's bombed, everyone hates it. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, what do you mean? Yeah, it's like, it's one of our IPs. It's been treated badly, obviously. Like, we didn't bother to pay any attention to it. And it's like, show me the Steam sale numbers of the previous Borderland games. And it shows like a 400% increase. And it's like, wait, did you purposely put out this shit product in order to get people to go back to the game so they could be excited for the new game that we just announced? And it's like, I was like, fucking bastards, they did it, didn't they? They did it.
I just... That's hilarious, but they're not smart enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're not smart enough.
They don't understand their product well enough. The guys making those sorts of decisions don't understand.
You've put a theory around of the events that happened. That's what happened there.
That's what's good. That's why conspiracy theories are so good, because you take some stuff and you just add a purpose that is impossible to verify. You're like, see, but look, it worked, so therefore...
It must be true.
This is what a lot of... I think it's authors. They talk about, like, you shoot an arrow and then draw a bullseye around it. Yeah. Like, you work backwards from the target to see how you got there, sort of thing.
It's like this snake has bright colors to warn people that it's venomous. This snake has got bright colors to trick people into thinking that it's venomous, but it's not actually. It's like...
Maybe it's just got bright colors. Maybe that's just how snakes are, isn't it?
I don't know. I feel like you can't be true. Anyway, is there anything more you want to talk about?
No, I do really like that toxic positivity, though.
It's a very good line. It's very, very good description of things that we've seen a lot of, and I've never been able to put like a word to it or like a phrase to it.
It's funny that now that comes out, that's exactly... do you know about there's like body positivity people that they're just like fat fluencers. They're trying to tell people it's okay to be fat. Do you know how many of those have died from fat related issues? But it's toxic positivity. You go, girl, you're so beautiful. Like, no, we all know you're not, because if I say, oh, you're so beautiful, you look just like Lizzo, you know it's an insult, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's not have fake. Also, when you are critical of things for the right reasons, they generally turn out good. Yeah, exactly.
It's when you start ignoring like facts or stuff like that, then it's like, okay, now you're just in a delusional little world.
Yeah.
And that's fine as long as you're not affecting anyone around you, but then you turn around and be like, actually, it's okay to be incredibly obese.
Yeah. Like,
stuff like
the
that.
objective should not be to feel good about your product, like your game. The objective should be to make a good game.
Yeah.
And when you do that, we see that these things print money. And PlayStation is a perfect example because they make good games. They've done it, right? God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us. But the focus was on making good games. Here they made a game where the focus was on feeling like we've got a good game. That's the wrong objective.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's how you don't make good games. You make good games by making good games and then seeing that the people, the people that purchase your product, your customers, love what you made. That's how you know it's a good game, you know? So, but I actually also think they shouldn't kill this thing. They've put a big investment in, and there is so much there that's so close to being right. And that's why I think that did so poorly, and also the Halos recently have done so poorly because they're so close to being good. They're so close to a great IP that they just don't do justice to. That's why they didn't do so well. Same with Starfield. Starfield didn't do so well because, yes, it had issues, but it was close to what it could have been and didn't go all the way. You need to double down on going all the way for the game to be good, not just to make a game, you know?
Yeah.
So
we'll see if Concord ever comes back. We'll see.
hopefully not as Concord, though.
We'll see. They have to come back as something else. If they come back the same, then there's just going to be this history repeating itself. Okay. Our final topic. Ubisoft is going down.
Yeah.
There are multiple reasons for it going that way.
Female leads.
Exactly.
I mean, no one wants a game set in Japan.
Exactly.
With a woman.
No one. It's really funny that they're
And a black guy. I mean,
they're having Horizon Zero Dawn happen to them, where like they come out with a game set in Japan about assassins and ninjas, and then Ghost of Yotei comes on. Did you say something?
do you know what's funny? I caught a bit of flack for my opinions on the Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
Because my issue was, it felt to me that they shoehorned Yasuke in there, who also, by the way, if you aren't familiar, really interesting history, you should check it out. And like a female protagonist. And I got the feeling from them, and not just because it's Ubisoft, but I got the feeling from it that they just went, oh, we can get minorities in here, we can have one be a woman, one be a black guy.
As is Ubisoft's mantra. They've done it before,
Right.
so.
And it's not so much that it's Ubisoft, because look, if the company changes its ways and all that stuff up, fine. But I didn't get that impression from Ghost of Yotei. I didn't get that impression at all.
Exactly.
So that's my beef.
It felt more genuine. It felt
It
more
did.
intended.
It does. And I said all of this in a vacuum without knowing about Ghost of Yotei. And now I feel pretty confident that I was correct.
Yeah.
The issue isn't that Yasuke is black. The issue is, why did they pick Yasuke? And I feel in a vacuum, in ignorance, that they picked him because he's black and they can get a black guy in Japan.
I was gonna say the first time they're entering in Japan, I believe it is in their series.
Yeah.
And instead of them going authentic like they've done in
all the past
Italy,
games, yeah,
like they've done in Greece, like they've done in Egypt, they decided to deviate from that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what reasons could there be? Well, one strong reason, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is yeah. There is something to talk about that actually in here. So there's a couple of moving parts to this. So first of all, the shareholders have launched an investigation into Ubisoft's management of the company, are seeking to go private and to replace CEO Yves Guillemot.
Okay.
Which is something that everybody's been wanting for a long time anyway.
We love you, Yves. I'm sorry.
They claim that the company's share price is being allowed to plummet so that the CEO can buy more shares at the lower price, effectively fucking things up.
Right.
Because he runs it essentially from the inside. There's a short bit I'm going to read just here. This is from the letter from the board to Yves Guillemot, the family holding. It says, "Dear members of the board, dear fellow shareholders, as a significant minority shareholder," this is from one person specifically, in Ubisoft Entertainment via AJ Investments and our partners, we are expressing our deep dissatisfaction with the current performance and the strategic direction of the company. The recent quarterly results, which include the postponement of key games like Rainbow Six and The Division into 2025, lineup, and the lowered revenue outlook of Q2 2024 have heightened our concerns about the management's ability to deliver value to shareholders over the long term. Share price of Ubisoft have decreased more than 40% over the last year, and I've seen it. It's just off. It's worse than WB, so you know.
Fucking
actually,
hell.
I don't think it is. I think WB is actually worse, but it's bad compared to its rise of its competitors in the same index, and then it goes on to deliver more points and stuff like that going forward. So it's getting really bad for them. After that came out, there was a series of announcements, which they do to like inform shareholders of what's going on and also be public about some of the stuff that they want to become public, because they do have shareholders who have the fiduciary responsibility to be truthful and stuff like that. First and foremost, Star Wars Outlaws apparently massively underperformed. They gave a whole statement, a whole wall of text, which was completely uninteresting. And they were like, it's down. We're going to do better in the future. We're going to put more polish on the game because it's not very polished. It's like, why did you release it then in that first place? Shut your mouth. Stupidity. It's been doing bad. In a conference call after this whole statement came out, they go, let me read this section for you. It says, in a release and subsequent conference call, Ubisoft said that the game's release was softer than expected. That's despite what they called solid ratings from critics, because critics know jack shit. And this is what they actually said. Additionally, despite solid ratings and user scores of across the first party and Epic Games that reflect an immersive and authentic Star Wars universe, Star Wars Outlaws initial sales proved softer than expected. That's the official quote that they said there. They go on to say that they expect it to pick up after they've polished the game, and in holiday, lots more people will buy it, but they don't really give a reason why.
Yeah.
It's like, but why?
Yeah. Why would anyone? What are you going to change? Like, what polish are you adding?
They're like polish to be like frame rate be a little bit better, but that doesn't mean like it's revamped now and everyone knows about it.
As a frame rate whore, just improving a frame rate on an otherwise unimpressive game is not enough.
Exactly. They're really hanging the hat off of critics and be like, the critics said it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, clearly, maybe the underlying assumption is the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the problem, guys.
I also want to come out and say, like, so we're pretty loud about not being fans of Ubisoft, but that doesn't, like, Ubisoft, again, they have the talent, right? They've made great games. We love the Division games. Yeah. And, like, if you ask us about games with great systems, we always bring up the Division 2's party system, right? That comes up. So outside of Ubisoft, the company, product-wise, they can do it. So although we are obviously being quite negative towards Ubisoft as a company, they have the talent. The issue is, again, and it seems to always come down to this, management decisions, and whether or not Yves is driving down the price so they can pick up more shares and have a bigger stake, I don't know. But that, again, shouldn't be his primary goal. His goal should be to have a company that makes great products and is okay to work in if you're a woman.
Unfortunately, they're businessmen. That's all they care about. They just care about their share prices and whatever's in their
It's really disappointing as well, because they have the talent to have made a great Star Wars game and didn't. And I don't know how good these new Division and Rainbow Six games will be, because are they going to phone it in? We don't know. You know, we can't tell because we can't trust them. Whereas, in general, if Sucker Punch or Insomniac or Naughty Dog make a game, they have that cachet that whether or not it's good, we know they're going to have tried, you know, and we know they have the talent. We can rest easy in the knowledge that it's highly likely they have all the right decision-making processes, they have the talent, you know. Even like CDPR, they've proved after the horrendous fuck up that was Cyberpunk that they've gone back and at nothing but a cost improved it and improved it and improved it to the point where I would probably pick up another Cyberpunk game. Yeah. And I also said this a couple years ago when Cyberpunk was having its issues. If they improve it, if they show me they can be trusted,
a sequel, if they announced it now, I'd be excited for it.
Yeah, exactly. And but that's because they've constantly made improvements, and their previous titles were bangers. But Ubisoft has made a bunch of less than satisfactory games. So like Valhalla as an example, the reason I haven't played it isn't because it's Ubisoft, it's because I don't feel like that game even now respects my time. I think it's bloated with stuff to do that doesn't matter so that they can say how big the game is, right?
Yeah.
I would like an Assassin's Creed game in Japan if it was engaging and made for the right reasons. I don't feel that those were the reasons that they picked where they picked, despite being a fan of the specific history. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a big thing to me. Like, I actually care about that stuff. Yeah. And I didn't feel that it was a genuine interest.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of Assassin's Creed,
yeah.
Also with all of that information, they also announced the delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows. They also, a couple of days before, announced that they were not going to come to Tokyo Games Show with their game.
It's deeply unpopular in Japan.
Well, that's the thing. They really don't like it. And I thought, when I first saw it, I was like, well, yeah, that's because they really don't like what you've been doing.
Yeah.
You've clearly, like, they've got the same concerns that we have, except that's actually their culture.
Yeah.
So you're fucking with them specifically.
Maybe they just don't like Westerns making their games, because Ghost of Tsushima's really not liked over in Japan. Oh, wait, no, hold on a minute.
And some people were like, well, that, and then after the delay came out, and people were like, well, that's because they're not going to TGS because of the delay. And I was like, it's only being delayed to February.
Yeah.
So this is the one show before February, the way you'd show off the game.
Yeah.
This would where you'd be advertised, but clearly there's other ulterior motives to this thing. Unfortunately for them, and they did bring this up in the conference call with the shareholders, one of the shareholders directly asked, they were like, now that you're moving into 2025, what's the challenge now that you're going to overcome now between this game coming out and Ghost of Yotei coming out, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, because it's also set in Japan, samurai, very similar things like that. And then Yves Guillemot waffled on about nonsense. He did the classic Phil Spencer thing. He said words.
Well, we all play, we all win.
Games are
we
games.
Need small studios that win
samurai
awards.
Japan. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, exactly.
And just moved on. I was like, fucking hell. And this is going to be a very big issue for them.
Yeah.
Very big
issue. Of course it will. And the other thing is, like, I hate that people allow them to get away with those answers. Like, that was, I think, the biggest injustice in that interview with CEO for, was it Xbox? Sarah Bond?
Sarah Bond.
Yeah. Where she said, you know, we need, you've said you need small studios that win awards, and then you've just closed up the guys that made Hi-Fi Rush, which is a small studio that won loads and loads of awards. Yeah. So what's going on? And she was allowed to waffle on and say nothing. And the interviewer should have said, that's a great response to a question I didn't ask you.
Bringing it back to the question I asked.
You closed a studio that is small, that made an incredible game that won loads of awards, and now you're saying you need those studios. Why did you do those things? Yeah. And Eve should have been stopped and said, okay, what is the answer to my question?
This is the thing, because in the types of settings where like the interviewer is asking Sarah Bond and whatnot, a little bit of we're not professionals, but we know this, we've seen enough of this. So you know what's happening behind the scenes. All of these questions are asked. They give them the list. They say what they want to ask. They take off things they don't want to answer, and then they get on there and they just make a televised version of the things that they already agreed upon to talk about.
This is a shareholder meeting,
and they're not allowed to deviate, and they're not allowed to ask further questions beyond that. Otherwise, they will just stop the interview right there.
And there's a time limit. There are other questions that need to be asked. There are other questions that need to be answered.
Exactly.
Like the interviewee has things that you need to ask a question so I can answer this.
And if you go off topic, your job is at risk. Your company that you work for might get blacklisted. All these kinds of things can happen. So they do not deviate from those things. That's why it's frustrating to us, because we're like, you're not going to ask any potent questions and you're not going to hold them to the fire.
Yeah.
You're just going to let them go. Shareholder meeting. This is a shareholder. The shareholder should have been like,
hold on a minute.
Bring that fucking shit back.
Yeah. My question was this. Answer the question I asked you. What are you going to do?
This is my money you're fucking with.
Yeah.
Give me an answer.
I own part of this company. And if you're on the shareholder meeting, it's not a small amount. It might be a fraction of the company, like 1 or 2%, but that's a huge investment.
Huge,
Like, you have a game that targeted this. It's going up against another game that is set in the same, effectively.
What are you going to do about it?
And it's also from a game that their last one dominated the market for this. Well, how are you going to overcome it? Tell me something. So yeah, that's really disappointing that all the shareholders didn't go, hold on a minute, Eves, you didn't answer the question. Answer the question you've been asked.
Anyway, the stock price did drop 17% after they made that announcement anyway. That was everything. And then they made one more comment.
Yeah.
Yves Gilmore made a statement, and it ties back to what we said about the whole, like, perhaps we know the reasons why they make certain decisions for certain characters or certain things and whatnot to certain audiences and things like that. And they made this statement right here. Yves Gilmore says, in the light of recent challenges, we acknowledge the need for greater efficiency. Wait, did I read this part right? Sorry. Let me read this part first and then I'll go to the other part. In the light of recent challenges, we acknowledge the need for greater efficiency while delighting players. As a result, beyond the first important short-term actions we've taken, like the delays they've mentioned and whatnot to try and make the games better, we've undertaken, an executive committee under supervision of the board of directors is launching a review aimed at further improvement on our execution, notably in the player-centric approach and accelerating our strategic path forwards. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, this is their way of saying, like, oh, you guys are upset of our performance. We're going to launch an investigation in ourselves to try and see if there's anything.
And we found we did nothing wrong.
Exactly.
Also, to stop right there.
Go on.
If you know that your purpose is to quote unquote delight players, why do you need to delay this game so that you can make improvements? The game that should be in the target
in the beginning.
Now, if you have to delay because you're not on track, that's different. But if it's, well, we need to delay because we need to make some improvements, like these are additional improvements. Those should have been they should have been on the docket, and you've just missed the targets. But that's not what they're doing, and that's kind of worrying to me.
And then he goes on to say this bit about the thing. He goes, finally, let me address some polarized comments around Ubisoft lately. I want to reaffirm, implying that this was always their mantra in the first place, reaffirm that we are an entertainment-first company creating games for the broadest possible audience, and our goal is not to push any specific agenda. We remain committed to creating games for fans and players that everyone can enjoy. Obviously, this means like that. Are you? There've been comments going around, but like, okay, the reason why you chose Yasuke, the reason why you chose a female protagonist, the way you've done other female protagonists in the past, and the way you've spoken about certain social topics and stuff like that, seems like you're pandering to certain audiences. And there's a lot of evidence to point that way, and that's what they're trying to address those concerns right there. I don't know.
Nice words. They're good words. I wish I could believe him. I'd love to be wrong about my whole opinions on the Yasuke and I forget the other female protagonist's name. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love for it to come out and go, do you know what? I totally misjudged that. And they just picked this, because they're fans. They thought it'd be fantastic, and it turns out it's a great game. That's a good scenario for us to be in. For me to say, do you know what? Hold up my hands. I was wrong. I jumped. I made an assumption about what they were doing and why, and actually, it's a great game. I don't believe that's the case. I don't want to be wrong. There's plenty of opinions that I have about these things where if I'm wrong, that's the best case scenario, and this would be one of them. But I don't believe it.
I don't know if I'm wrong in thinking this. When I first read this, I was like, when they're like reaffirming, implying that was their idea all along, I was like, okay, I don't believe that, but you say words all the time, and they mean nothing, so I'm gonna go along. But I was thinking to myself, maybe they're saying it now, maybe they're like, okay, we did try and do this other route, where we was trying to pander to an audience that didn't care about us anyway, and very vocal and quite toxic in some places, not all places, some places. Maybe we're not going to go down that route anymore. What we're saying here now is that we've seen...
To reaffirm, we're going to do the right thing now.
Yeah, we're going to make games for players now. We're going to make things without trying to alienate a bunch of people, without trying to make other people look stupid, or to make some people look better than whatever. All this nonsense. We're just going to make video games.
Let's just make a good game.
That's what I have heard initially.
Yeah.
But then I was like, all the other stuff they said was complete nonsense anyway.
And it's not like this is the first time they've had that feedback. Like, we'll go back to Valhalla. Their whole thing was, well, we'll basically do The Witcher, we'll style it off The Witcher, and they missed the mark, which is fine, but then they just packed the game full of stuff just so there was stuff in there. So it wouldn't be empty, but it is still empty because those things don't matter at all. So,
and then how they every time the game comes out where it has like a dual protagonist, or where like you can play as a male or female, like they'll be like, the guy's on the box art, and then they'll be like, but actually the canon one is the female one. And I'm like,
then
why didn't you go that way in the first place then? Clearly,
like, Aloy's on the box because she's the main character, and Val's in the game. Like, have like them be your character.
Those kind of statements is like, you are pandering.
I don't believe you. Exactly, I don't believe you. Whereas you go with Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yotei, they pick a female protagonist, she's going to be on the fucking box. Because they're going to hopefully just write a good character.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the whole kerfuffle that's going over there. I have to say, my money is that Ubisoft's not going to be around for very much longer. At least in the current form that we're seeing now. Maybe they'll get bought out by someone. Maybe they go private. Whatever they might do. However, Yves Guillemot, I think, is going to be out. I think they're going to take a drastic turn.
They've got the talent. They've got the IPs. Rainbow Six, it's not for me, but it's a great game. It's got a huge, really motivated audience. The Division's fantastic. That is for me. We love The Division. Assassin's Creed, if handled correctly, is amazing. Like, they have the IPs, they have the talent. They just need good management and good decision making, which is, you pick your characters because they're great characters. You have a great story, and you don't downplay. So, like, let's say I'm completely wrong about why they picked Yasuke. There is still a very reasonable side to this, which is every other game you made had a protagonist from the area they're in, and you've deviated in one of the most iconic places. Those people shouldn't be ignored or told they're racist or anything like that. That's a reasonable concern. And it is reasonable. If you're a fan of this stuff, and you're from Japan, and that's, by the way, been like the most asked for game Ubisoft, I think, has ever had, which is, we want Assassin's Creed in Japan, and then you don't pick a Japanese protagonist, that's a reasonable concern, right? The response shouldn't be, you're just racists. It should be,
it's the Disney
I totally
approach,
get what
you see two people that say something like that out of a sea of a million people. Or was the people, let me get it clear. See people that say that, and then you see within those people two people who take it to the ridiculous point where
ignore
it's
those idiots,
and then they're like, "Well, that's all of those people. That's all of those people." And it's like, no, they're idiots crying about nonsense. I mean, they didn't even make an intelligible sentence,
right?
And you've taken that as the thing that everyone said.
Anyway. And then also the idea of like, well, there is a Japanese protagonist. You're just a sexist or whatever because you didn't notice it. Like, we all know that isn't the actual protagonist. That isn't the person that's going to be on the box art. And you know it too. Don't treat me like I'm an idiot, and don't treat me like my reasonable issues are unreasonable. Make a fantastic game and prove me wrong. And by the way, even if the game is fantastic, it's still a reasonable issue. You can say, I love this game. Yasuke is such an interesting character. They did it so well. However, in every other game, the protagonist is from the area, and they didn't do that in Japan. And that bothers me. That's still a good, not a good, but like a reasonable position to take. It's still okay to have that opinion because it's okay. Like, you're right. Even if they make a great game, even if it's everything that it could be, it's still a position. And you shouldn't go, no, you're wrong. You should go, I totally get what you're saying.
It's like the
but we went this way.
Thing, where it's like, the game's probably going to be great. The Ghost of Yotei. Everything's going to be fantastic. But there's still people that could be like, man, I wish we played a bit more of like Jin Sakai.
Yeah, I totally get you.
Totally fine. No, you're a sexist racist. No. I love
Jin Sakai.
I'm going to play this game as well. I'm happy. Everything's great. But I just wish we had a little bit more of that.
If Sucker Punch comes out and goes, look, we know you're all disappointed to not get more of Jin Sakai. We think this is a great story and we think we've done it justice, but we get what you're saying. Like, Jin Sakai is a fantastic character. Everything. The voice actor is incredibly passionate and interesting. Like, everything at every level, everything involving that character and that part of the story is brilliant. We get you. We've chosen to go this way. Your opinion isn't wrong. We've just chosen to go a different way with it, and we feel that this is a good decision. Yeah. We also would love to come back and revisit Jin Sakai. Yeah. It's a great character. We've built an incredible thing here. We haven't abandoned it, but we are going for this next game in a different direction. Yeah. You're not wrong to want more Jin Sakai. We all want more Jin Sakai, but Ghost of Yotei is a different story. Cool. Where is the harm in saying, you're right, this is a fantastic character, you're right to be loyal to this brilliant character?
It's just, unfortunately, there's a lot going on in it. All the people online as well, they feel like if these companies don't take an ultra toxic stance against people, and blow things way out of proportion and make things entirely different to what the actual argument is, then they're not part of the solution.
Right. Yeah, it's
when really that's really degenerative.
Yeah, that's not how you make good.
It means no conversation can ever be happen. No good arguments could ever come out. It's toxic positivity, isn't it? It's the only yes.
The thing as well is, like, these conversations need to happen anyway, because that's how you get good ideas. If you think there were no conversations and no disagreements about what any good story should look like or what direction think about the best campaigns you've ever played. You think there weren't disagreements about what direction it should take?
Yeah.
But those arguments are how you craft a good story, right? That's someone saying, well, that doesn't make sense. How does this person know this thing? Oh, we didn't think about that. So, okay, they'll have to be here then. Like, that's how you work out a good story. Yeah. It requires those things. Like, we have this great idea, but actually the implementation at the minute isn't good. We need to work out these kinks. Yeah. Otherwise, you don't get good stories. That's why all these great campaigns are tied together so well, because they make sense. Because somebody at some point went, wait, how does Yennefer even get there? Or wouldn't Ciri be here if this was the case? Like, actually, yeah, Ciri would be there. But if Geralt's here, well, how do we get Geralt from here to there? As an example. Yeah. Like, you need to have those. You can't just have characters appear. That's how you get crappy movies and stuff, where stuff just happens and it doesn't feel right. You know?
Anyway, that's all the topics Ubisoft. For today. And that was Ubisoft's downfall.
I want Ubisoft to become Ubi hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want it, as much as I make fun of
Ubi hard, sir. You do be hard.
as much as I make fun of them, like, Assassin's Creed games have something there. There's a reason the audience is so motivated. Rainbow Six has something there. The Division, there's something there. Star Wars, there is obviously something there in Star Wars. But again, why did they pick the protagonist that they picked? Why did they pick the story that they picked? You know? Good protagonists have problems.
Yeah.
Good stories have problems to overcome, and you need to have those problems for them to be good. So,
well, bro,
yeah,
that comes to the end of our show.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you, everybody, for staying this long and watching the podcast.
That's right.
If you are still here, remember, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe on podcast services, 5 stars, all that good stuff.
Yep.
And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Key takeaway, because we spent the last half of the show talking about bad stuff. There's a lot of good stuff coming on a lot of platforms, a lot of things to be excited for.
Oh, yeah.
And some interesting stuff, like the Power Nintendo stuff. That'll be interesting to see how it goes. It's not necessarily a negative.
Yeah.
And the main focus, lots of good things to play coming up.
Lots of good things.
It was looking like we were going to be in a bit of a gaming glut for a year or two.
I felt that as well.
And now it doesn't feel that way.
Doesn't feel that way, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, buddy. Gaming.
Gaming. Emphasis on the gay.
Massive emphasis. In bold, in caps.
See you later, boys.